Welcome. How's everyone doing today? Good. How are you? Oh, good. Great. First of all, on behalf of East Central College and its English department, I'd like to welcome you all here and thank you for attending our third annual Student Invitational and Faculty Reading. I say third annual, but it's been going off and on here way before I was here, but in many facets, but we're trying to regain steam here. We're here to celebrate our students, our faculty, and poetry. As you know, or may not know, this is National Poetry Month. If you're wondering why poetry has a month, I always say this, is because things that have like months have been marginalized. So like women, quilts, reading, all those things have been marginalized one reason or another. And then poetry has too. But I'm glad you're all here because you're going to see poetry as it was meant. Not that it's going to be read aloud and it's going to be heard. I'm going to do a little reading, and then my students are going to read, and I'll be introducing them as we go along. And then Katelin Delvaux would be reading too. Hey, brother. Try not to. I wish we had more room. This is not very accessible. Good? You good? All right. Okay, so I like to do a little warm-up. Every semester I teach creative writing. I have my students write a poem, and we use the anaphora. So it's a repeating line. And I like the line, "I am tired of," because I feel as though it's spring. My students are tired. They're tired of me. They're tired of enjambment, imagery. They're just tired of a lot of stuff. So I like to use that, and you really get into the mind. And I'm going to read in the style my father attended Pentecostal church, Pea Ridge Pentecostal Church. If you went far south enough on 185, you'll see it, Pea Ridge Pentecostal Church. He had 9 siblings. His father had left him with his mother. His mother, a very devout woman, made them walk, sometimes barefoot, 2 miles to attend church. And he would make me go when I was younger. And what I really like about that style is the call and response. And we see call and response in the blues and many other things, but it's a way to get you a little interactive. So today you're going to have to be a little active. So when I raise my hand like this, I want you to say, "I am tired." So let's try it. I am tired. Whoa, you guys are doing great. Okay, usually I have to do that 2 or 3 times. So this poem is called I Am Tired. Power. Of being the only person who has to tie my shoes in a public restroom. Of time speeding by like a game of tag that you are losing. Of working on holidays, selling shoes to crabby customers while my family enjoys inside jokes and barbecued meats. Of people dying. Of people getting married. Of people saying the movie Frozen is overrated. It's not, so let it go. Of mindless repetition. Of having the essence of my existence altered every time I see you. Of food having calories. Of wearing shoes. Of my dog stealing my cookies. Of people holding judgments about people based on who they love, where they do or don't worship, whether their genitalia is an innie or an outie, or the color of their skin. Of part-time jobs that don't pay enough to cover the gas it takes to get there. Of looking forward to summer when it's only October. Of the crappy red Saturn that looks to steal my parking spot every day. of analytical thinking. I want the sun to be the biggest issue of the day. Of news stations getting rich off of the poor. Of my allergies. Of my car. It leaks and smells, but it's all I have. Of my son's Legos scattered over his bedroom floor. Of being so super single. Of making flashcards my entire life. Of frozen waffles. Mom, buy Pop-Tarts. Of my life being organized by test dates and not weekdays. Of the pop of constant game notifications I receive on Facebook. Of computer class, where no explaining is done and we stare into computers until our eyes bleed. Of pizza rolls with ranch for lunch and dinner. Of solving for X. Of waking up to the fact that I don't drive a red Ferrari. Of the lulling drag of that girl's voice in history class. Of living in a world where we argue over the color of a dress for an entire week, but we can't cure cancer. Of people thinking broken windows are worse than broken spines. Of feeling alone when I'm surrounded by people. Of being tired. Thank you. And that was for my students. I love them. I know they don't think I do all the time, but I do. They are great, and they wrote that. I want to thank a few people, Sean Barton, Lee Kolb, John Hardicke, our students, Katelyn, for all coming here and sharing the reading. It's not easy, but they're going to do it. Our first reader today is a student. Never had my creative writing class, but she had my class. And she loves writing and reading, and she's one of a kind. She's a music major. She'll be graduating this year with honors, of course. She and her sister both. Also currently attending UMSL right now and pursuing a communications degree. Faith Joyce. Let's give her a round.
Juxtaposition. A spring sunrise is a creeping tide of daytime catching you, the warmth stealing over your toes. It smells like coffee and sounds like someone stirring in the kitchen long before its climax. The rays flash like breaking through suddenly and beaming in someone's voice. A summer sunset, on the other hand, is an ebbing and going out, leaving you cool, and it's a long hug on the porch swing in the breeze. It smells like grass and showered children before bed. Its finale is as gradual and imperceptible as a baby falling asleep in your arms. The thing about sunrises and sunsets is, I'll have to describe them again tomorrow. Towel. Allowing someone to critique something you wrote from the vault of your life's personal experiences and tenderest emotions is being seen without your makeup when you've just stepped out of the shower and you forgot to put on deodorant. Anyone have a towel? Home. Church bells ringing every morning at 8 like clockwork across the town. Metal chains clinking, hinges creaking as the lumbermen open the gates. Rain washing clean a metal roof, windows rattling in the wind. Lightning strobing through filtered blinds, gutters roaring with their flow. Birds chirping in the tree outside, our bay windows shellacked with frost. Train whistles pealing and echoing past the decrepit, vacant feed store. Last night's clean dishes clanking as they are put back in the cupboard. My mother's voice waking me softly or putting me to bed with a kiss.
Thank you, thank you. Next up, Donnie Abbott comes to us to East Central College via Florida. He's a mystery man of sorts. Let's give him a welcome.
First up, I'm going to be reading a poem called Change. Change is not predictable, but at the start it was. I hope they mourn the conscience of their decisions. When they rode white clouds across the great unknown, we met them with open minds and open hearts, which were looked past with desire and self-righteousness. Undeveloped and savage in their minds, our presence was saw as inconvenience, while their presence destroyed lives and families, and at the same time obliterated a land that had for an immortal lifetime provided salvation. We could not gain respect or equality because we were not good enough. Generations of loving our mother were replaced by using her for selfish wealth, living off of her care for us with gratitude, now set aside for greed and ownership. Why did they come here? Have they killed their own homes and now wish to adopt ours? No, we are only in the way of their self-entitled destiny. We had our own beauty, and it was ugly to them, replaced by dreams of their own future. The rivers we had long used for prosperity now ran red with ourselves. This one is the first poem that I wrote. It's called Growing Up. A dark blue wad of metal, who brought ease to my life as a servant would a king, was never unwilling to do anything I asked, taking orders with no reply, no asking why or oh really, whether left lying in the mud or filled with wretched smells of sweat-filled gym clothes or old rotting McDonald's, you always achieved the goals I would lay before you, and always stood as tall as the day we met. As age began to overtake, like all great things, you fell apart. The soothing beat of failing limbs saved me from hollow silence after your radio had left us. But your heart was still strong and would never flinch, nor would my eyes glance as we passed your younger brothers and sisters in confidence. Protection from the outside world, you were a fortress to reside in. I never fully understood our chemistry until the day you died for the last time, and nothing could replace what we had. I must try as you did to keep such a strong bond. Realization that responsibilities were neglected, one day I will learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Donnie. Next up, Amber Farrar, Salem High School graduate. She'll be graduating East Central College this year and will be attending Missouri Baptist University. She's a special education major. Let's give her a round. Thank you.
Okay, my first one is called Self-Development. The new floor creaks where we put the old oak bookcase. My pothos plant that sits on the highest shelf, it clangs against itself when the squeak is irritated. The planter is truthfully for violets. It has a water reservoir that feeds up to the roots. The patient plant rejoices in the odd pottery, and it's growing long and wild in the sun's rays. Every once in a while, I need to pull the ivy down from its pedestal to keep the heart-shaped leaves from scorching in the heat. I cannot let the plant go after all the time I spent nourishing it, so I hired some help to fix the squeak, and I hung up my shears to welcome the vines as they arrive at our home. This one's called Freedom. She won't stop staring at me from the gold-plated frame that constantly gawks at me from the shelf. The most beautiful woman. Her diamond smile was real then, never forced. Jim Beam, he keeps me company many nights, a good friend. My glass tips way back and slams down on the crowded coffee-stained table. I can't let her look at me anymore. As I shove the memory up against the wall, my hands wrap around her weak throat. She shatters in my fingers. Flicking my lighter open, her bronze hair catches blaze. Our bodies bubble, and the flame swallows us, tickling at the curling edges.
Thank you, Amber. Next up, Alex Gansmann, Washington High School graduate, music major here, and Lord of the Rings enthusiast.
All right. Before I begin my first poem, I would like to clarify that I am referring to time in military time in this one. This one's called 2220. 2220, and the blizzard hit as I read your text. And though I felt the liberating beauty of relief from your constricting words, could not help but want to lie down and let its icy grasp overtake me. At least I was hugged by your false pretense. 2300, and it's too much. Your words, like a howling wind, pick up ice poisoned with torment and regret. Hit me with their bitter chill. Pain accumulates in inches and feet, weighing on me like too much snow on a pine tree. Its trunk bent like Atlas's spine, burdened by the heaviness of this world. This hell, this bleak, godless place seems endless. Oh, how I long for spring. When the rains will come, and this depression pass to sadness. Rain is a welcome blessing, a remedy for all of life's miseries. For rain washes away all pain and suffering, and is preceded by the rising sun, its warmth bringing with it the promise that tomorrow will be a better day. My second poem is called Vengeance, and it's a cargo stripped poem. And basically, cargo stripping is a poem that involves taking a quote from an outside source and replacing it and rewriting it to make it your own. And the quote that I chose to use for this particular poem comes from Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings. And that quote is, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that has been given to us. So this is Vengeance. All we have to do is burn long enough for him to appreciate the subtle artwork of his demise. I know my time has come to burn as he gently unwraps the shiny red foil from my body. He grasps me delicately between shaking fingers. Click, click, murmurs his lighter, and he brings me in close where the flames lap against my face, igniting the finely cut leaves within me. Who am I to protest? It is my job to burn. He puffs, inhaling my cancerous fumes. I laugh. For in taking my life, I slowly take his. Does he care? Maybe in time he will regret, but for now, let him appreciate the subtle artwork of his dependence. For my smoke is an ever-changing art form, and the longer he appreciates it, the quicker I can have my revenge.
Thank you, Alex. Next up, Ellie Ging, Washington High School graduate, graduating this semester from East Central College, transferring to Missouri Baptist. And she's an English major, but now she wants to pursue business. I know. So, that's okay. You want to make money. Here we go.
The first poem I will be reading is called Timekeeper. You arise, bone-weary, during my moment of triumph. My face draws a groan from your throat, not quite enjoyable for me, but entertaining. Attention of any kind is better than none. I have been so rudely ignored for hours, after all. You watch me consistently through the day. I receive a feeling of importance with every glance. Hunched over the pale desk, Your dark eyes dart to mine. You work, and I work. Mine is a slower pace than usual. With each glimpse I receive, I drag my limbs. I savor each second. When I have had my fun, you finally stand and don your coat. The laughter irks me. My gears accelerate. I have not received your attention for too long. This social gathering holds no joy for me. I am unnoticed. I will not be ignored for long. Those deep blue eyes finally glance down. I grin at the frown. You politely say your goodbyes, and I have your attention once more. At last, my gears resume their normal speed. I return to my prison. I know what is coming. I can read myself, after all. The deep mahogany below me holds no comfort. I dread being ignored every night. When I hear the soft, satisfied snores begin, I ignite into action. My arms working the fastest in hours. I imagine your expression upon awakening. I do not sleep. I only live for your disdain. And just a little backstory for my next poem. All throughout high school, I worked at the Schnucks grocery store. So this is a sort of reflection on an experience I had there. Carrot Queen. Bodies rush past, feet march, clacking across the tile floor. Mine rush the fastest. Excuse me, miss, where is the bread? That's awfully expensive. I require the manager. Requests, demands halt me. I must stop and smile. I'm forced to listen, nod, resist rolling my eyes. I am tense, already assigned a mission. Someone is waiting for me. An entire line of anxious, huffing customers. At the front, the crabby old hag is tapping her pointy foot, waiting for her new bag of carrots. I needed the organic. I can't believe, yes, that's my job. Because you are too lazy yourself, I have the privilege of running your errands and enjoying your snotty attitude. I dodge more customers and more questions. The produce section is suffocating. What else is new? Carrots, bright orange and beckoning. There, need the perfect bag for the old hag. After a hasty inspection, I snatch the nearest bunch. At a cheetah's pace, I head back through the food maze. Better not keep the Carrot Queen waiting any longer. I arrive, a smile plastered to my mouth. The hag's dark, sloppy lipstick smears when she purses her lips. Her black, cold eyes narrow as I struggle to catch my breath. I hold up the anticipated carrot bag. Here you are, ma'am. Sorry about I need a bigger bag. Her cold, slicing reply stopped me. Without another word, I pivot on the spot. Very well, another trip through the labyrinth for the loyal, always right customer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. It makes going to Schnucks feel so different. Our next reader, student, is Josh Young. He comes to us from Cincinnati, and he and his friend helped set up the video here so we can put this on YouTube, maybe on our website. Eventually, there's like 5 cameras. They put a lot of work into this, so let's give him an extra round of applause for that. He's also an English major, and he'll be transferring this semester to Truman. So, cool.
All right. So the first one that I was going to read is called Baggage on a Train. So it goes, the dull gray dawning of the day steals across the long silver train. Scarlet red rust grips the dusty track like scabs and scars blotched by blood lost in rain. The engine, it coughs, it rumbles and starts steadily. Scents of the city mingle with cigarettes and stick to the passengers' clothes wherever they go. Out the window, the sky that once shimmered in blue-white now slinks and slouches like some giant's lung blackened by tobacco. I lock eyes with a withered old man sitting a few seats over. The laugh lines on his leather face, the life lines on his soot-stained palms, and the dust clinging upon his brow, bent and forlorn, all lose the future. There are just too many people on this train, and not much time till darkness rings round again. That's that first one. This one is called The Cowboy Kid. So it goes, his stunted feet stood stapled to the dust. He was frozen backwards on boot heels and cowboy spurs, like a wax statue sweating in the sun. His mind was wet with the legends of the West and the old smelly pages of Louis L'Amour serial novels stacked in droves against the wall, where his green toy box lay open, filled with his childhood dreams. He knew all of his little plastic action figures like family he'd spent his whole life with. When he played with them late at night, he and the hero shared the same name. That's both of my poems. So.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, next up is our featured faculty member, Katelin Delvaux. She is a self-claimed military brat, which I never understood that because she's not a brat at all. She's from everywhere. She attended Columbia College. She was a poetry fellow at Wichita State under the famous poet Albert Goldbarth. She adjuncts here at East Central College as well as St. Louis Community College. She's an editorial assistant for Redbridge Press. Her poetry has appeared at Slice Magazine, the Blue Island Review, Off the Coast, and Barn Owl Review. Let's give her a big welcome. Katelin Delvaux. Thank you.
Hi. Just to the poets who have already read, man, you guys are hard on age. Like every gray hair documented on someone who's not 20. This is wonderful. I'm so glad everyone is here. I was first introduced to National Poetry Month in my undergrad through a poet who's no longer with us named Pamela McClure. And every April we would gather at various bars, and I was not 21, and shout poetry to people who just wanted to drink, really. And eventually it would culminate in very much like what Josh did. I remember specifically one evening where we had someone wearing one of those literary t-shirts, had Pose the Raven on it, and we would just point to people when Nevermore came up, and they just got way into it, just drunkenly, Nevermore! So I am called it karaoke-tree. So I'm so glad you guys are here for this. Everyone should be paying attention to poetry just a little more. I will read a few more than just 2 poems. I was asked to take up some time, so I hope you enjoy these. I guess the best place to start is the beginning, so aptly starting with one titled Origin Story. Creased blue pages grin from the passenger seat, with teeth stitched of highway lines and city limits. A nomad family Bible, the atlas sits sun-bleached, holy. In the beginning, there was Waffle House and racetracks and salt marshes and the world's ugliest everything. In 1995, my mother renamed me. Baptized in a truck stop bathroom, I was navigator. We watched Virginia slip into the sea, just a starting point in the rear view, watched with eyes that ran like yolks into toast as mile markers perforated our lives. From D.C. to Chicago, we stopped twice. Once to watch a hubcap skid into traffic and bounce off a sleeping dog. The other to sleep outside a casino, lights flipping through the air like quarters. One of the main focuses in my poetry thus far, and I'm starting with the older stuff, eventually we'll get to the manuscript I have been working on, but the main focus so far has been inheritance, this way in which we inherit our identities, how certain experiences redefine our understanding of self. And I especially love magical realism, and I'm sure the majority of this group, as I can see, has been raised on screens. So this push of identity through fantasy. So this reference may be a little further out for some of you, but not for a lot that I see here. This is called I Never Cared for Major Burns. My mother starred in MASH reruns, joined the Navy out of high school and shipped to the Gulf, a medical team, sharp edges and white and guns, but no guns. I remember her uniform dark as Virginia night, a few paperbacks floating in her purse. She'd come home smelling of engine oil and cigarettes, and we'd lay out on the living room rug, a plate of crackers and jar of peanut butter between us, the TV a bridge for a child and newly single mother of two. In that flicker of war and medicine, I saw her for the first time, staving off gray with boxes of dye, the tight draw of need pulling at her eyes. And there was Burns in the background. Never enough man for Hot Lips Houlihan, his weak chin and sniveling smile a disgrace too great for my 5-year-old heart. She deserved a laugh that was crisp at the edges, a man of brick and teeth and coffee and everything impenetrable. Some nights I catch her walking to the mess tent, Burns written off, and her eyes don't seem so tight. And this is a nice little lesson for poets out there. I've marked a poem that was published a while ago. It's called Home to Roost. However, when I went back to decide if I wanted to read this, I realized that it has been changed since. So once it's published, doesn't mean you stop writing it. So I'm going to read you the updated version. Home to Roost. Summers were made for killing chickens. Each year we'd pile into the pickup and travel 6 hours to the house that stood for generations. Cousins, aunts, everyone in overalls, sweating in outhouses, fingers rubbed raw over washboards. Acres of birds scratched and fought behind wire. June sweltered at our touch, begged us to leave them be just this year. But we harvested their round bodies, a storm of feathers massing in the hills of Arkansas pines. Some slipped the birds through traffic cones, lopping off brown heads above a body of orange plastic. Others would wring the neck like a dish towel, the breath spun out. Ours was a factory of murder. White wings pinned by the youngest, mama with robotic heft and swing. Daddy strung them up to bleed out, and I collected the heads like bottle caps. This summer, we skipped the fields for the birth of my nephew, the white of the hospital too clean. He took my finger in his impossibly small hand, and I was reminded that children squirm the way a chicken does with its feet tied to the clothesline, blood pooling in silver tubs, its body flapping like sheets out to dry. What you're feeling right there is very much what people in workshop called pretty creepy. Like, you're like, oh, that was really pretty, but it was weird. Like, why would you do that? Because I like that terrible beauty. And so since then, my work has shifted, and this will, for the few students that I see past and present in here, you will note that my lessons don't just draw from history and science, my poetry does as well. So this is a shift that started looking more toward still that identity, those outside forces and how we define ourselves, but I love science, absolutely love it, and history. So this one is titled, For DeGrasse Tyson Tells Me So. Buzz Aldrin took communion on the moon. He did. Right under God's nose, he brought religion to space in the form of a wafer blessed in Texas. And the universe let out her belt a few notches to sigh at the rituals of superstitious men dressed in expensive sandwich bags designed to keep them safe from freezer burn, men whose feet marred the night's face, kicked the moon right in the teeth and flew away. July is the world's largest producer of sweat, beads strung from neck to thigh across the earth, enough salt water to refill the oceans. And I look out from my melting point to see the moon coming in for a landing. Pale and crisp, it floats in a river of wine and begs me to take of her body, for she is the way and the light. All hail Bill Nye, patron saint of chemists. Nye, son of Sagan, Sagan, son of Einstein, Einstein, son of Darwin, and on it goes. Copernicus begot the heavens, but what have the heavens got for us? May the astronomer watch over us in this hour of need. He is my scientist, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie in green pastures and count the Perseids flicking across the cosmos like matches thrown from a window. Gather round, children. Let me tell you the story of Adam and evil, one born in the hearts of men, the other the bearer of men. Inheritance. This collective trajectory parts to a whole spilling into the next. We are all an amalgamation of terrible beauty passed down. The entire cosmos swirling about our lungs, gnarled fingers of definition woven into the fibrils of our stomachs. There is comfort in knowing that we are not unique. Each baby a plump pastiche carrying the same sticky fists and ugly dimples worn before him. The anger your great-great-grandfather stuffed in his throat blossoms a gnawing bead of cancer in you. The newest eyes are still older than the moon, and in the end we will always be a great storm of stars hurtling forward.